Hello everybody. This is going to be my third of 4 bonus videos following the release of my Origins Plus video. We'll start by taking a look at some end of the act signs, and later, well, we've got even more signs. But first, some context. The Sonic series has had a few different ways to signify the end of a level, and of these, the first and probably most popular end goal would be the spinning sign, typically showing Dr. Robotnik on it until the character speeds by, making it their own. These are a neat end gimmick, but I never really paid them much attention, with the exception of Sonic 3's little Keep It Up minigame. That is until Sonic Origins Plus came out, and Amy was added into the 4 classic games. Naturally, she would need a sign now, and I think it does the job fine. But when going into Sonic 3, I noticed that glimmer of pink for her sign while spinning, and noted that you could even see it as other players. And I assumed that a new frame was added for her, or maybe she replaced another character. But when looking closely, I found some intriguing variations with the sign that are interesting to me because it seems like something so inconsequential. So why change it? But before diving in, let's take a look at the very start. So Sonic 1 gives us Eggman as the default state of the sign, looking proud of the mayhem that he's caused. Take note of the yellow background and blue glasses. His shirt is plain red, which goes against his in-game sprite, having the yellow parts on it. So this was updated in the mobile game, which was of course carried over to Origins. Passing the sign gives us the same effect in all versions, with a mess of pixels on the tilt, and eventually, Sonic with a peace sign. Sonic 2 gives us a similar Robotnik sign, but the yellow is there on his shirt, his glasses are now black, and the background is black too, making him look more intimidating. Though interestingly, there is a bit less detail in his mustache. Spinning it to Sonic, he'll give us another peace sign, though in a different pose. And the yellow is more orange now, perhaps to match his new friend. Tails' background is blue, and he's a little less expressive than Sonic is. In the original Sonic 2, if we slow the spinning down a bit, we'll see it cycle between Sonic, Robotnik, and Tails. And it does this for both characters. But in Origins and Sonic 2 Mobile, we'll find that it only spins Robotnik at first, before switching solely to the player character. This effect matches the original Sonic 1, where it's all Eggman before switching to just Sonic. Locking Knuckles onto the original second game will use his sign from Sonic 3, which is the same for all retroactive inclusions. But you'll see he has his signature green in the background, just like his starting cards. That green is also present when the sign is spinning, showing Tails with it instead of blue. And in Origins Plus, the messy pixels on the tilted sign are changed to pink, just for Amy. In Sonic CD, I like how Eggman taunts us through the sign image, and Sonic this time gives us a thumbs up. The spinning sign cycles between Robotnik and the player character in all versions. Moving over to Sonic 3, things get a little more complex. Let me start with Origins. I was under the impression that the sign, when spinning, cycles through every possible character. I mean, that's how it is as Sonic, and it would only make sense it would be the same for everyone. I even originally wrote that into my script, that all the characters can see each other's signs, before rewriting it after taking a closer look. Even with the inclusion of Amy, Sonic will see every character. Robotnik is consistent in all of these, so I won't mention him every time. But in the base Origins, Tails sees himself twice, and Knuckles once. And Knuckles sees himself once, Tails once, then himself once more. Sonic's the same whether Tails follows him or not. So then in Plus, we have Tails and Knuckles with their same sequence, only adding Amy before seeing Robotnik. And as for Amy, she'll see herself twice, Tails and Knuckles once, and Sonic not at all. Plus also adds in that pinkish in-between frame, though the bluish one is still used as well. It is odd to me that they'd omit Sonic from everyone else's signs, but let's look back on the Genesis 3 and Knuckles. Sonic and Tails both see Sonic, Tails, and Eggman in that order, regardless of who the main character is. And although Sonic's pose is the same from Sonic 2, you can see that this sign has been redrawn to better fit his look from Sonic 3. And although Knuckles is now a playable character with that lock-on cart, he will not show up in Sonic or Tails' sign. Going over to his playthrough, the Knuckles sign will obviously be there, and the Robotnik sign wasn't changed out to instead show Egg Robo. But the strange part here is we'll see our buddy Tails again, this time with a red backdrop. Okay, I saved the best for last. In Sonic 3, without the lock-on, we'll see that the sign is on the wrong layer, spinning behind the trees instead of in front. Okay, I'm kidding. That's not the strange part. As the sign spins, we can see Sonic, we can see Tails, and for some strange reason, we can see a blue Knuckles. This is likely due to some palette limitation, but the cool thing is, blue Knuckles isn't only on the sign. Using a Game Genie or a cheat-enabled emulator, you can actually play as Blue Knuckles in Sonic 3 and Knucks. He has Sonic's color, life icon, end sign, and starting locations, Knuckles' abilities, level paths, and bosses, and he even steals Tails' name. Going Super will give him Super Sonic's color, which actually looks pretty rad. I never really minded the flash our other super characters got, but seeing this golden look in action makes me wish it was official. Okay, I promise there's a reason for this tangent, so we're about to bring it full circle. Coming out of the super form will restore Knuckles to his usual red, which in turn makes our Act Clear sign that of a red Sonic. How cool is that? This also had a weird side effect. We're turned blue once again, but climbing out of the water changes us red again. Here's red Sonic in the life icon, and reloading at a checkpoint makes the echidna blue again. So that about does it for official releases on the Mega Drive, but one more oddity can be found in Sonic 2's Nick Arcade prototype. Finishing the level, we'll have Sonic staring straight back at us, and he looks a bit angry. During the spin, we can see Tails with a worried expression, and I like how he's holding on to the bottom edge of the sign. It's interesting to think that at one point, these were going to be the actual signs used. So now we're done with 16-bit, but that doesn't mean there's no oddities in the 8-bit realm. And since these games were included in Origins Plus, we may as well take a look at them. So the 8-bit games take a different approach with the signs. They still signify the end of an act, but they now will give you certain bonuses depending on which image they are flipped to. Starting off with Sonic 1, the default panel will be a question mark. We can bounce the sign by jumping in place, or send it flying in the air by speeding past it. Spinning it to Robotnik will give you no reward, which is the most common result. And collecting 50 rings, then passing it, will show you an exclamation point, which will bring you to a bonus stage. Funny enough, there's another sign within that bonus stage. The final two rewards aren't as straightforward. In the Master System version, you could guarantee a free life from spinning to Sonic by finishing any act with the appropriate amount of rings. But the requirement was oddly changed for the Game Gear version. Most sources simply state that it's random, but from my experience, that's not exactly true. No matter how many times I reloaded, the results were exactly the same. Though this guide mentioned struggling with a level, so perhaps it's more of a pity reward. Losing 2 lives and finishing the act instantly gave me the ring icon, which adds 10 rings to that level's total. Nice, now we're getting somewhere. So then gaining 1 life, then losing 3, gave me Sonic on the very first try. This gives you an additional life, so I guess the requirements make this more of a safety net. So going into Sonic 2, I was prepared to game the system to gain each reward. The default is still a question mark, though the sprites used for all of the icons are redrawn for each game. Robotnik's mustache is wild in this one, and again, he gives you no reward. I found the ring by finishing without any, so it must be another pity bonus. The Sonic life is again gotten by first losing lives. And finally, a new sign that's apparently very rare, though someone else found out that finishing with 77 rings is a guarantee. This is the Tails sign, which gives you a free continue. Thanks, pal. Sonic Chaos took the longest for me to crack, and it may not be the most thorough results, but I did get them all. The default is Robotnik, just like the 16-bit games. And the Flicky is the one that gives us no reward. I'll remember that next time I'm on Flicky's Island. The ring could be at set numbers, but I always got it at 19 rings. And the additional 10 aren't shown at the end, but they are accounted for in the results screen. Finishing with 28 rings gave me the blank sign every time. And this allows you to spin that sign again. This seems to increase your chances of spinning a better reward, since it's the only way I could manage to get a Sonic or Tails icon. Clearing the act with your character on the sign gives you an extra life. And clearing it with the opposing character shown gives you a continue. Over in Sonic Triple Trouble, we have a full-bodied Robotnik as our default sign, and another Flicky that gives us nothing. I got the blank sign each time I had 55 or 85 rings, so it gives another spin. But this time, I only ever seen it grant me the ring icon for plus 10 rings. Anytime my ring count ended in a 0, I would get the emerald icon. This takes effect in the next act, and as you can see, it starts you out with 50 rings. Neat. Last, we've got the characters, and I seem to get Sonic with a high ring count, and a 50-50 shot at getting a Tails with a 0 ring count. Those rewards are an extra life for your own character icon, or 10,000 points for having the other character's icon. The continue this time is held by Knuckles, which I got by clearing the act with 0 lives and 0 rings. All of that trial and error was exhausting and took loads of time, so it was a pleasant surprise to find that Sonic Blast truly is random. I got every single result by reloading the exact same save. The bonuses are as follows. The blank sign this time is our default sign. And Eggman once again is no reward. The ring is bonus 10 rings, and the Chaos Emerald is now our continue. Getting your own character is yet again a 1-up. and the opposite character now gives you 30 rings. Our final sign in Sonic Blast is Supersonic. There's no transformation, instead giving you both character bonuses, an extra life, and 30 rings. The last game we're going to look at uses these signs in a slightly different way. Winning a race in Sonic Drift 2 will have your character's sign come down with the word WIN announcing your victory. There's one for each character, and this may be the first instance of an animated sign, as seen in later entries. You can also catch the name Sega on the back as it spins its way down. But with Act Clear sign spun and bonus panels passed, I think it's time I signed out. So I'll see you next time to discuss some glitches.